I think you find out a lot about people whenever you go through some adversity, and found a lot out about our team on Saturday. The first half was just as ugly as it could be. We didn't start very fast. We got hit in the mouth. We didn't respond very well. Especially in the first quarter. Move the ball, didn't score any points defensively, give up 3 touchdowns in a row. In the second quarter, settled in on defense a little bit. And we have 2 turnovers on offense, which is a little bit uncharacteristic. And, you get in after 30 minutes in the locker room and you kind of look around and say, look, there's a decision that's got to be made in this moment. The easy way is to say it's not our day. We'll come back next week and try it again, or you do it the hard way and you go fight for the next 30 minutes and you try to win a football game. And I know now more than ever about the character of this team. Certainly disappointed that we didn't win the game and didn't find a way to do that, especially with the start. But I've never been more proud of a group of guys in my life. Understanding that we would be in the same situation today, no matter if we lost by 40 or lost by 2. When you go through tough things, you realize what people really are. And I know what we have in our locker room, and certainly we got more adversity in front of us. Injuries kind of pile up at this time of year, and that's where we're at a little bit. You got a really hot Troy team coming into town that's playing their best football. They're averaging over 30 points a game the last 3 games, playing really well, finding a way to win games. So, we got our hands full. And this week I told our team, we're in the playoffs. We've got to prepare well, and we got to get ready to go play our best ball. The good news is 6 out of the last 8 quarters that we've played are as good as we can play. We just had 2 quarters in there that were really poor. So we got to circle around the good things. We got to make sure that we're understanding it's going to take 4 quarters to go out there and go win this week, and we got to put together our best game. We got a lot of guys that have been a big part of this thing for us on the field that won't be there this week. So we got a lot of them that are going to have to step up. And, that's what teams do. We've worked really hard to get to this point, to get to 8-2, to have this opportunity to go out there and compete for a division championship. And we're going to compete our ass off this week and try to keep this thing moving.
So when George was out, King moved. Is that the way that y'all would move forward, or what goes into all that?
Yeah, King and Bryant both work left and right. We'll kind of figure out this week where we think each of them should be. George is doubtful for this week, so we'll have to prepare for that. Mackey will be at backup right tackle, and John Bragg will be at left tackle as a backup. So those are guys that are capable for sure. We'll just kind of have to figure out where we think King and Bryant will be best served, left or right.
What about the other injury situations?
Ben's out for the foreseeable future, probably 4 to 6 weeks. So Chandler's gonna step in there and gonna play really well for us. At corner, Caleb Anderson tried to go, gave us a little bit. Every week he's getting a little bit better. So hopefully this week he'll be, another step ahead. Keon has been medically cleared. I think sometimes with the nature of an injury like that and all the emotions and things go with that, mentally there are some things that you got to get over to be able to play as well. As the week went on, he got better and better. We just didn't feel like it was right. The right thing to do to try to get him to play in the game last week. Those things are just sometimes they're things that you don't rush. So hopefully, we'll feel really good about him this week. We'll know a little bit more about Zylan, Lorenzel, some of those guys here as we go forward. They both, Zylan didn't return to the game. He was out. So, we'll see what he's capable of doing. Zell did come back in the game. He's got some pain, some lingering pain, things like that. So, certainly, you're thin in that room. Avery Demery, who didn't play last week, is actually out with illness. He'll be out for a while. So it's non-football. It's just, kind of the way some of those things happen. So, yeah, that's just kind of where we're at. We'll find out as the week goes on. Hopefully some of these guys will be able to get back out there. But, Ty Stamey, not sure about him. just it's kind of seems like it's kind of where we're at every year towards the end of the year.
Was Chandler in there now, but not having been available, does that change some of the design runs or anything like that, knowing you're a little thinner there, or you just kind of go as usual?
Can't play the game like that, so we're going to play the game to win. That's the only way Chandler knows how to play anyway. I mean, he's going to play his game, and I think if you try to harness players like that and you try to make them do something they're not, then you can't expect them to play really well. I mean, you saw him Saturday night when he's out there playing, doing his thing. That's when he plays his best. So we're going to cut Chandler loose and we're going to let him play. Daniel Bill will be the backup this week. He's worked really hard. He's prepared really well. Certainly, you hope that you don't have to do that. But for our team, we have to. I mean, you can't play so someone doesn't get hurt. Whenever you do that, it's not going to be good. So, no, we're going to let Chandler go play his game, and he's got a lot of games, so he's going to play really well for us.
What that you've seen on film is the big difference on Troy, like a month ago to Troy in the last few games, where it seems like it's gotten a lot better?
They've really changed their philosophy on offense here. They're playing a little bit more like they did the last couple of years. They're getting in 12 personnel, big personnel. They're running the football. They're getting ahead of the sticks. They're getting a third and manageables. Like right now they're like 50% conversions on third downs. They're getting in third and manageable. So they're early on they were trying to spread it out and throw it a little bit. And it's the first year there. I don't know if they're quite the whole puzzle was put together the way Coach Parker probably maybe wanted to or saw it maybe in the beginning. But I think good coaches find a way to give their players an advantage, and they've done that. They have a good defense. They gave up some points early in the year, but they were playing a bunch of snaps. They were turning over a little bit and kind of just weren't in sync on offense. Right now, they're in sync on offense. Their defense is playing less snaps, and they're playing really good football. So it's Troy. I mean, there's always a bunch of good players there. I mean, every time you play them, I mean, there's no – it's like anybody else in this league. I just think they're gelling right now. They have a lot of new players. They're gelling. They're playing their best ball. They've lost some close ones and truthfully, found a way to lose some close ones earlier in the year that were kind of crazy. And now they found how to win them, and they won one, Saturday. That was a heck of a football game back and forth against a really good Georgia Southern team. So they've got a lot of confidence. I think they found a formula that works for them. They got good players. And I think, as a coach, you get in there and you got to figure out what helps you win. And they've done that recently. And, they're coming in here with a lot of confidence. They're coming in here playing their best football of the year. We're going to have to play our best ball.
After watching the film, I know after the game we ask you all these questions and it's hard to answer some of them, but execution-wise, did anything change in your mind after watching the film offensively that y'all did better or worse than you thought?
Offensively, we were so far behind in the second half that we really couldn't run the ball a whole lot. We ran it okay at times. We knew it was going to be we knew the game was going to be a little bit different, where there were going to be some negative plays because of how much they moved the front, but we knew we'd have an opportunity to hit some big ones. We did. Just unfortunately, one of them, you hit an explosive and you fumble the ball, and give it back to them. Like, it was just one of those deals in the first half, man. It was just, we had 3 catchable balls, kind of in the end zone that they're not, I wouldn't classify them as drops. They're contested catches, and you got a shot on 3 of them. You make one of them is different, And like I said, this is never about blaming players or anyone in particular. Hell, I told the team this. I'll take this. I kick a field goal the first drive is a different game. We had some plays down there in the gold zone, a couple run plays down there that really I didn't think was my best design and didn't give us the best chance for success. So there's plenty to go around. And, what I told our staff and our players and everybody, I said, we all just need to do it a little bit better. Myself starts with me. So we just got to do a little bit more, work a little bit harder at it, and and try to get this thing back on the right side of winning here this week. But it was just kind of one of those games. The first half, it was like, boy, you couldn't really get anything to kind of go your way. And then in the second half, it kind of got to a game that we don't really necessarily like to play. You have to play at that point, where you can't really mix in the run and all that stuff. The interception just wasn't real detailed on depth and spacing, things like that. Just things that it's just crap that we don't do. It was just kind of uncharacteristic on a lot of it, and I'm not going to get into details. I don't want it to be about players. It's just it just wasn't as damn clean as it has been. And that's the difference, though. Like, that's the difference in winning and losing, you know. And I thought on defense, once we settled down a little bit, God, we played great. I mean, really the first quarter was terrible on defense. After that, I mean, we get some stops. I mean, hell, we turned it over twice, only gave up 3 points out of 2 turnovers on short fields. You know, we did some really good stuff on defense. Once we settled in there, it's just, man, you can't get down 21-3 and expect to beat anybody, you know. And I mean, we gave it hell, and we tried to storm back and do it. But, you know, you score 19 points in a half. You think, well, you tell me you scored 19 points in a half, you're going to win the games. Well, not when you score 3 in the first. You know what I mean? So it's just, it just had one of those feels in the first half, like, boy, this is just not our night right now. And you know, there's some things that we got to do a little bit better as coaches and players, and you know, just got to get back to doing them a little better.
Do you go into the 2-point plays? Is it something usually you have some plays you like no matter what? Is it kind of just contextual where you are in the game there? What kind of goes into, you know, the 2-point situation usually for you?
Yeah, no, we game plan 2-point every week, and we got exactly what we thought we were going to get. We did not execute very well. They played it exactly like we thought we would. You know, we missed the corner, didn't do a very good job blocking the perimeter. We got knocked back, and again, I'm not going to get into players. We got knocked back at a key block right there that we had angles on, and didn't execute. It was exactly where we thought it was going to be. You know, worked it all week, drew it up on the sideline. We knew what it was going to be, and you know, I would call it again because, you know, there's some I would take back, not that one. We had them exactly what we wanted, and we just did not execute very cleanly with the game on the line. So, yeah, we game plan every week for 2-point plays. Sometimes it's hard to figure out. You don't know exactly what they do. We knew exactly what they did in that situation, which typically you don't really run the ball typically on 2-point plays because a lot of times you don't know where it's going to be. So you have to have some type of catch-all type of situation. That was one where we felt really good about it, and we got exactly what we wanted. We just a little bit off.
Was there anybody that normally doesn't play as much in the secondary that played pretty well that can maybe even play a bigger role now that you're in the situation you're in?
Yeah, absolutely. Jeremiah Moses played really well for us as a corner that, you know, coming out of camp, going into camp, he's a guy that I had really high expectations for. I think he's a tremendously talented individual, and just didn't have a great camp. You know, kind of fell behind. Some of those guys competed a little bit better than he did. So he was on scout team most of the year. You know, we started having some injuries, particularly last week when we found out that Avery Demery was going to be out for a while. We moved him over, you know, obviously with the defensive guys. And, you know, when Zell came out and Keon ended up not being able to play and Caleb couldn't play as much as we wanted to, Jeremiah jumped in there and played really well. Cody Jackson played great for us. You know, obviously he had the pick, but he played really well, you know, the rest of the game. So I'd say those two probably stood out the most to me, just kind of right off the top as guys that came in there and played really well. You know, and certainly the older guys, you know, the T-Lus and Agu and those guys played well, really well around them. So, you know, that's what you have to have. You know, when you have key players that are out that are injured, it's not just one for one. It's not just, okay, well, you plug and play. This guy needs to go play as well as, you know, whatever player A did. Everyone around him needs to play a little bit better. And I thought defensively we settled in there and really played well after the first quarter.